Over the weekend, we seen Donald Trump speak at a Bitcoin conference in Nashville. Now, if you've been around for a while, maybe 2018, 2019, you probably didn't see this coming back then, but it's real, it happened. And in today's video, we're going to break down the key points from this speech, just in case you haven't watched the full thing, taking away those key highlights. And I'll also give my thoughts on how bullish this actually is for the crypto industry and Bitcoin. Is there anything that we should be aware of, concerned about, and just really look at both sides to the argument. If you enjoy the video, do drop a like, do subscribe, but let's get straight into the good stuff. Okay, so for those who didn't watch the full speech, we're going to go through this tweet here from Watcher Guru, just basically going through the recap of what Donald Trump actually said. What were the most important things that he mentioned? So, on top of the list, we have what probably most people would absolutely love to see. On day one, he will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new SEC chairman. Now, many of you will be aware, especially over this last year or so, Gary has been a big problem for crypto. He's definitely not an advocate of crypto and has made things very, very difficult, especially for the ETF approvals. So I guess a lot of people are going to be hyped about seeing this one on the list. Next up, we have creating a US government strategic national Bitcoin stockpile if elected. Now, of course, when we go back thinking about when this was such a speculative industry back in 2017, 2018, even earlier, this was always kind of like the end goal for a lot of people. Now, some people will argue this is bad because it's a currency for the people, but ultimately speaking, Bitcoin getting this type of attention, has to be a net positive, especially for those, who are in it for financial gain rather than the tech. And let's be honest, that's 99% of us. Next on the list, we have that US government will keep 100% of Bitcoin it owns. So a lot of this is down to seized Bitcoin, where the US government actually dump it on the market. They sell it in stages. Every now and then, people on Twitter especially will be tracing these wallets and seeing what activity is actually going on. And them keeping it obviously reduces the amount of sell pressure on the market, which is what people would like to see. And then next on the list is Bitcoin is going to the moon. Now, this kind of was the big headline from the speech. It hit a lot of articles, a lot of videos were titled with this headline because it was kind of the standout moment for a lot of people during the speech. And what we'll do now is just play a minute or so of the speech so you can just get a snippet of how bullish it actually was.
This afternoon, I'm laying out my plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done. If crypto is going to define the future, I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. It's going to be. It's not going to be made anywhere else. And if Bitcoin is going to the moon, as we say, it's going to the moon, I want America to be the nation that leads the way. And that's what's going to happen. No, you're going to be very happy with me. You're going to be so happy. You're going to say he's the greatest guy. That's why I'm proud to be the first major party nominee in American history to accept donations in Bitcoin and crypto. And they've made a lot of them, I might tell you, and I appreciate it. Since we made that announcement on May 21st, we have already raised $25 million, much of it in Bitcoin, crypto, and others that are very, very good also. But as you know, our excitement about the future of Bitcoin and crypto could not be more difficult from the approach of our opponents. Can't be, look, our opponents have gone a difficult route. They're going old-fashioned stuff. We're going to take it right down the middle. We are so different from anybody else in terms of a campaign. First of all, we understand it. They don't understand it. They are blocking your path. They're blocking your way. But I've made it a lot easier for you because the SEC has been very, very tough on you. And now they see that you've embraced me. All of a sudden, people that were under investigation, they're being let go. They're saying, oh, no, we don't want to do that. We love crypto. Let me tell you, if they win this election, every one of you will be gone. They will be vicious. They will be ruthless. They will do things that you wouldn't believe. But right now, because of me, they're leaving you alone. So please say thank you, President Trump. Thank you very much. And the reason they're doing that is, I've heard from some of your great geniuses that talk to me about this subject. I've heard from Vivek. 175 million people in some form are involved with this world of crypto and Bitcoin and all of the others, 175 million. So when they heard that, they said, let's be nice to them, at least until after the election.
Okay, so now we'll continue with the key points. So we've got Bitcoin is going to the moon. Bullish. Never sell your Bitcoin. Bullish. Bitcoin will one day probably surpass the market cap of gold. This is probably something that a lot of people, including myself, believe in, but it's kind of reassuring to hear it come from, somebody like Donald Trump in his position. I reaffirm my pledge to commute Ross Ulbricht's sentence. Now, for those who don't know Ross, he created the dark web as such. He was given life in prison for this a good few years back now, and I guess a lot of people who used Bitcoin on the dark web back in the day, them real OGs, probably like to see this and for him to not be forgotten about. So, definitely appealing to a certain audience there. There will never be a CBDC, so a central bank digital currency, while I am president of the US. Now, we started to see this come in other countries, and there is uproar, of course, especially in crypto communities. So again, something that a lot of people will like to see. Bitcoin and crypto will skyrocket like never before if elected president. Now, this is kind of speculative, but I guess you could argue that Donald Trump is a man of business. He's a man of finance. The stock market performed very well when he was in charge last time around, and you would argue that maybe this time the stock market and crypto both perform very well this time around with his, business-minded approach. Bitcoin is not threatening the dollar. The current US government is threatening the dollar. Now, I do believe this is the case to an extent. We've actually seen over 75% of dollars printed in the last, I think it was 15 years. I may not have that stat completely correct, but it's a staggering amount, and, it really is the cause of its own downturn. The United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world. Now, we've seen Trump talk a lot recently about all of Bitcoin mining being done in the US and so on. So it seems like they're really trying to take it under their wing now rather than pushing it away and ignoring it. I guess at this point, Bitcoin has become too big to ignore. Bitcoin stands for freedom, sovereignty, and independence from government, coercion, and control. Now, I think this is very important because this is what Bitcoin is all about, this kind of decentralized currency for the people. It's a little bit contradictory because above we discussed how the US government planned to, of course, hold Bitcoin, and many people won't like that. Definitely is out to the judge there. There'll be some conflicting opinions. But for them to actually understand what Bitcoin is now, truly understand what it was made for and how it should be perceived, I guess that's kind of bullish, one would argue. And then I pledge to the Bitcoin community that the day I take oath of office, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's anti-crypto crusade will be over. Now, of course, they've made it very difficult for crypto to thrive in the US since its inception. So that should change under Trump is his message. Now, we have seen other US political parties now start to warm to crypto, but you would argue they're only doing this to try and get some more votes. So that is what we're going to talk about next. We're going to look at how bullish this actually is, or maybe it's all just for show. Guys, if you are enjoying this video, please do drop a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to see more content like this, do let me know in the comments. I'm more than happy to do it if that's what people want to see. All right, so how bullish actually is this for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? Now, of course, you cannot argue that finally Bitcoin is being painted, in a positive picture. It's being spoken about positively for pretty much the first time, generally speaking. I mean, if you go back years and years, looking back at the past, if you've been around for a while, we've always had the same kinds of comments. Bitcoin's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's not a real currency, crypto's a big scam, all the usual stuff. And we kind of laugh it off because we've seen it all before, we're kind of used to it now, and it's just to be expected. But finally now, crypto and Bitcoin is too big for people to just ignore and call a Ponzi. People have got to take it seriously. It's not going anywhere. And we've finally, got through them tough stages and we've stood the test of time. So now they are acknowledging us and accepting Bitcoin and crypto. So this is exactly what Donald Trump is doing. And of course that is a net positive. It is bullish. But then you have to ask the question, how much of this does Trump really mean? Is he just saying this so he can get more votes? Is he just saying this so he can get more crypto donations? I mean, let's face it, every politician, no matter where you're from, promises you the world during their run-ups, during their presidential interviews and speeches. But when it comes down to it, do they always deliver? I mean, I guess 99% of people watching this video would probably say no, myself included. But on the flip side of that, how much does it matter as long as it pumps our bags? What is the main objective here? If 2025 continues to be a bull run because Trump comes in, will people really care? Especially those who are not in the US, who are not directly impacted. And that really is the $1 million question at this point, because somebody who is from the US, who is really against Trump, is going to have a very different opinion to somebody who has no impact from what goes on in the US but holds Bitcoin. So it really does vary from person to person, and you have to make your own mind up on this situation. But what is really interesting to me at this point is how the tables have really turned. Because going back over the years, again, if you've been around a while, you know that we kind of always were waiting for that next step in crypto and Bitcoin's approval and maturity. We wanted big names, big individuals, big companies to finally accept crypto, or at least take it seriously, and we are finally getting there. Now, of course, this has been a staggered kind of process, because going back to 2020, you started to see Elon talk about Bitcoin positively, Tesla accepting Bitcoin as a payment method. You've seen the likes of BlackRock get involved. Now we have ETFs. Now you've got Donald Trump, of course, being an advocate for crypto. So things are starting to really align and head in the right direction. And that also brings on the discussion of whether this is Bitcoin's last big cycle, if you will, before it becomes a mature asset. But that's a whole different story. But we go back to how we really needed them to really take Bitcoin to the next level. And now it feels like they actually need us. We look at Trump here now. He's obviously taking the time and the effort to speak at Bitcoin conferences to really get us on board. Of course, like I said, it could all be for the US votes. He obviously wants more votes. He wants more donations. So you have to keep that in the back of your mind, like we just discussed. But generally speaking, you can really feel like crypto is not painted in the same picture as it was many years back. So that is all for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please do drop a like, please do subscribe. Your support is greatly appreciated. Also comment and let me know what you think of this whole Trump situation. Is his bullishness actually bullish, or is it all fake just to get the votes and he'll never come through on what he has promised to deliver? In the meantime, please do trade safe, please do invest safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.